And welcome back to Backspace Academy. In this practical lab on VPC architecture, design and deployment with CloudFormation Designer, I'm going to introduce you to the AWS CloudFormation Designer. And this is a great tool to really understand VPC because you're going to get to use this graphical user interface to design an architecture on the screen and then see that go from a design on the screen through to a CloudFormation template. And then that CloudFormation template can then be used to deploy our architecture and its associated resources to AWS. And this is a great tool because it integrates really well with our existing version control systems and creates a great all the way through version control of our architecture design from a user interface and a visual perspective, right through to the nuts and bolts of a CloudFormation template. So let's get into it. Okay, so starting off, we need to go to the CloudFormation console. So again, services, CloudFormation. Once we get there, we need to click on Design Template. That will take us straight into the CloudFormation Designer. So that consists of three panes. So on the left-hand side here, we've got the resources types, which will list obviously the different resources that are available to be used in our template. In the center here, we've got a canvas, and that is where we drag and drop our resources onto this canvas, and we can join that up and link it up, and that will be used to design our architecture. And from there, it will create automatically a CloudFormation template for us. And we can edit that CloudFormation template in the editor pane down below there. So we can see here we've got components of our CloudFormation template. That will be the parameters, the mappings, the conditions, metadata, and outputs as we would have in our CloudFormation template. We can also see our CloudFormation template here as well. It's an empty template right now. It's just saying the format version and nothing else. We can also see that in either JSON or YAML. So I'm going to select YAML here, simply because it's a lot easier to read. I'll just go back to components there. Now, the first thing we'll do is we're going to give this template a name. So we can see here it's called new template. We're going to change that, and we're just going to call it Backspace. And we'll save that. Okay, so all of the resources that we're going to be using will be located in the EC2 section. So we just scroll down till we get to EC2 and expand that. And the first thing we're going to start with will be, we're going to start with a VPC. So scroll down to VPC and we'll drag that onto the canvas. There you can see it's given it a name, EC2 VPC blah, blah, blah. We want to give it a more understandable name. So we'll just get rid of the stuff at the end there and we'll just call it Backspace. So Backspace EC2 VPC, and we'll save that. Now, because we've done that, the canvas needs to be updated. So what we do is on the top right hand side here, we just click on the refresh diagram button and that will update it. And there we can see that our VPC is now got a name, Backspace EC2 VPC. Now in our editor pane, we're just going to minimize that. So on the right hand side there, we're going to minimize that and give the canvas full screen. And we're going to expand that canvas there so it gives a lot more room for the VPC. And then we'll just go back to the split screen, select that down the bottom right hand side there and bring that back up again. So now that we've created that VPC, we need to give it some properties, and the one property that it definitely needs is a CIDR block range. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump back into the lab notes and going to copy over here the properties that we need. So we need to have a CIDR block defined, and we also need to enable DNS for this VPC. So what we do is we go back in here and we just get into the properties, get rid of those brackets and press enter, home, and Control V to put it in there. So what we need to do is we need to tab twice. So just tab twice there. And that will be accepted. If you don't do that, then it'll be a bit of a mess. So make sure that it's indented from properties when you do that. So again, the designer is now out of date, so we can hit refresh. And there we go. So we go into our template and have a look at that. We can see there, if we just maximize that, we can see there that it is got a resource there. It's our backspace EC2 VPC. It's a type EC2 VPC. And we have properties there with a CIDR block and enable DNS and enable DNS host names in there as well. So now what we'll do is I'll just put back into the split screen view. What we can do now is we can actually add a subnet to our VPC. So we just drag across, same as before, we drag a subnet across to our VPC and just drop that on there. And again, we'll rename that to something that is understandable. And we're just going to call this one public subnet. Click on save and refresh the designer again. I'm just going to minimize the editor and make that fill that quite a bit there. Just leave a little bit of room in the VPC for other stuff to come along. And that's fine. So what we need to do now is that we need to go back into the editor. So again, it's back to split screen, and we need to add some properties for that. So we can see here, it's already added properties for the VPC ID, and that is because we dragged and dropped that subnet into the VPC. So it's automatically created a reference to that backspace EC2 VPC. So I'm just going to jump back into the lab notes, and I'm going to copy over what we need for that properties section. Okay, so we go there. It's we've got a CIDR block again. It's 24/24. Our VPC was /16. And we're going to, as normal, we'll put it into US East. So we just do enter and Control V, and we'll just make sure that everything is indented properly. So you'll just tab and then you just put in a couple of spaces in there. So we can see we've got our properties, our VPC ID, we have our CIDR block, and we have our availability zone. If you're not sure exactly what should be in there, you can just go into the CloudFormation developer notes and AWS developer manual, and you can search for AWS EC2 subnet, and it'll tell you exactly what you need to put in for CloudFormation to accept it. If you leave off CIDR block, then your template will fail when you go to run it, because it needs a CIDR block. It also needs an availability zone as well, so that stuff needs to go in there. And we just refresh the screen. So now that we've created a VPC, we've created a subnet and some other stuff, and we've added the properties to that, it's a good idea to save our template and then also deploy our template at the same time to make sure that there's no errors. It's not a good idea to go through and do your whole architecture and then run it at the end, because you might have a bit of a mess. So it's good to do it piece by piece. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into the file menu up the top left-hand side here, and we're going to select save. We're going to save it as a local file. We just use backspace template. That will be fine. And I'm just going to save it in there. And the beauty of this is that that is actually a text file. So if we want to have a look at it, we can. So I'll just open that up. Find something to view it in. Notepad will be fine. Okay, so you can see there that it is basically nothing more than a text file. So we can use this quite easily in our version control system. And we can also, at the same time, if we wanted to, we can download that as an image. And so we can download it as a PNG image if we want as well. So this is really good if we want to put that into reports or whatever for management. Want to see exactly what's going on, we can do that. So it's a good tool. It's a good tool from go to woe, from design through to deployment. So let's have a look at now deploying this template. So we need to go back into CloudFormation. We'll leave that. We've already saved it. It's not a problem. And what we need to do now is that we need to create a stack. And we're going to choose a file. So we just click on choose file. We'll select our backspace template. Next. And we'll give it a name, backspace. And next. We won't worry about any tags or any rollback triggers or anything like that. Let's create that stack. So what will happen is that it'll start to create that, and what we can do is that we can actually see what's going on with it as it goes along. We'll just expand that up. We'll click on refresh. So it's currently creating that VPC. Now creating finished creating the VPC. It's now creating that subnet. We'll click on refresh again. Okay, so there we can see that it has completed that, creating that subnet, and so the CloudFormation stack has been completed. If there is any problem, then it would say a rollback is in progress, and it would tell you exactly the reason why there is a problem. For example, if you didn't have a CIDR block on your VPC or your subnet, and you can actually do that if you want, just have a bit of a play around with it to see what happens, and that will fail, and it'll tell you that you need to have a CIDR block on your VPC. Just going back into that split screen, we can see create complete there.